Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Shonen and Chill, hosted by Zenrotto and Oceaniz.
Hello, hello, folks. We are very glad to be back.
Yeah, we
It's
had to
been,
take a little week off. We've had some shenanigans going on. It's the
yep,
holiday season, and I am employed, and so should be
yeah,
getting crazy like that.
life happens.
hmm
It comes to you real fast, especially right around the end of the year when there's already 17 different things happening.
Yeah, so this is
Yeah, I
gonna be
feel,
one hell of a month.
yeah, I feel sorry for you Americans because you got Thanksgiving and then a month later you got Christmas.
hmm
That shit must low
It
key kind
blows
of
too
suck.
because like you get to Thanksgiving and you're like, okay, the year's over. I shouldn't have to care anymore because it's about to be
hmm
Christmas. But the people who have all the money disagree, and they're like, "No,
Yeah,
I need you to make me more money."
you should go back into the money mines.
Back into the mines with you. So
Uh, Um, but yeah, it's been in terms of manga, it's been a fun 2 weeks as well. A lot of stuff to discuss. In terms of news, the only thing I know is that we now have the voice actors for the Undead Unluck anime,
oh, cool.
and
I didn't
yeah,
know
Fuko is being voiced by someone I don't know, but Andy is gonna get voiced by the same guy who did Gojo and Hawks,
that. Not the
which is
voice I would have picked, but
right.
hey.
That's totally not who I would have expected because Yuichi Nakamura is kind of more of a like a I think of him more as sort of like a weasel, like he's sort of like the smug slimy guy who
Yeah,
sort of he
like
has all
the
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 answers.
yeah, kind of the cool like douchey guy.
Yeah,
Doesn't really fit for Andy at all, but maybe he'll do great. I don't know.
yeah. I
He's a
thought
great voice
Andy
actor, so
absolutely, but I feel like Andy should sound like someone who smokes and eats 2 packs of cigarettes every second. So I'm interested to see what Nakamura can bring to that.
yeah, Andy really
Um,
just has like gruff, awful vibes.
yeah,
So
I mean, yeah,
it's terrible
espe-
vibes.
especially in the content that the anime will be adapting. Like the first arc and
Not the
stuff.
nightmare chapters.
Yeah. The undesirable chapters, yeah. And that's already all the news I have. I think I don't think we have heard much else. Uh, yeah. I don't know
Yeah,
if
I
you
haven't
have
heard
any
anything.
other.
I do not. It's been slow going.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like we keep up with these things. Who are we? The co-hosts of a manga podcast? Come
Hey,
on, folks.
I absolutely keep up with any news that happens to come across my timeline without requiring me to look for it.
Yeah, I am an incredible journalist whenever the news just come to me with no active effort involved.
Correct.
Where's my Pulitzer? All right, what are your top three for this week and I guess the last week as well?
The massive chunk of whatever the hell this is. I think my number three is Undead Unluck. My number two is Chainsaw Man. And my number one is Jujutsu Kaisen.
All right. My number three is Chainsaw Man. My number two is Jujutsu Kaisen. And my number one is Undead Unluck.
All right, look at that.
Yeah, we linked up.
God damn, yeah, we sure did.
Yeah.
All right, well then let's get right into the remainder here, and we'll
hmm
start with Choujin X.
Which has been pretty cool these last few chapters, and this newest chapter is no exception. I am so glad that Eli gets to do something cool.
Yeah,
Uh,
I feel like it's kind of been a long time coming for there to be like a really exciting, interesting looking fight.
hmm
Because like the last time I think a fight really caught me was like when what's his name was going berserk, which I guess wasn't that long ago, but time is an illusion with Choujin X.
Well, yeah,
Um,
exactly.
and then like
10 chapters.
all the fights on this island have been kind of almost silly to me, like
hmm
the Bone Zone, and then Tokyo running away was like it almost was played to laugh for like for laughs with me. Um,
hmm
but yeah, this was cool. Ellie getting to like
Yeah.
just blow him up was fucking rad.
Yeah, and then she like almost absorbed him.
Mm-hmm. It's fucking cool.
Is that a thing we knew she could do?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, because now she also has like the Konoha symbol on her hand.
Oh
with the
yeah,
little firestorm.
she's got the Boruto on her hand.
No, run, little girl.
Uh-oh.
Get get out of there, small German boy. There's Boruto in that cave. But yeah, no, super cool, and it's nice that we've sort of come full circle here because obviously Chandra was the guy who kind of kicked off this entire story in a way when he attacked the plane Eli was in. At
hmm
least I think that was him.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, okay, good. Averted the comments. So it's cool that it kind of comes full circle and she gets to beat him. And now I guess we'll see where we go from here because it really feels like sort of the first little chunk of Choujin X concludes with this, since this is something that has been set up in chapter 1. Um, Also, I just love Chandra's facial expressions. He's such a fucking hater for no reason.
He really is. He's great though. He's
Yeah,
probably my favorite villain.
yeah, well, past tense now, unless they do some weird shit.
I'm calling it. They're going full Boruto. He's just in that little mark there.
Oh, you think? Yeah, actually, yeah, maybe she can like summon him as like a familiar, like a smoke
It's
summoning.
a smoke monster friend.
Quick, smoke him!
Smoke him out.
But yeah, very cool chapter. Lots of very cool imagery. I mean, you got the final double spread. Um, but the entire fight just super cool. I'm almost sad if Chandra is gone because his smoke powers really worked for like cool visuals. But I guess Eli can now take that role.
Yeah, it
Um,
depends on how I guess they're gonna use her in the story because she seems to just come and go whenever.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, good chapter of Choujin X out of 10. Can't wait for the next one, either in 10 years or 2 seconds after we upload. There's no in between.
Yeah, there really isn't any in between with Choujin X, but
Mhm.
it is what it is.
Yeah.
I also really like the frame, or I guess the panel where his fucking neck is at a 90-degree angle.
Oh yeah.
It's just
Ugh,
a good, yeah, that's just a good panel.
this is awful.
It's
Hate
great.
that.
I love it. Um, all right, are we good on Shojin?
I would say so. We can move on.
All right, the next up is going to be Sasuke's story.
Uh, you mean Velociraptor Shinden?
Uh, there are 3 chapters of this that he's fought a Velociraptor in all 3 of them.
Well, I gotta say, whoever is writing this story absolutely knows how to sell it. Because it doesn't get old. It's funny every time.
Yeah, it's always funny, and like I like how they're talking about like, oh, um, there's like a little mystery with the raptor about like what it is. I did spoil myself because I went ahead and read the book.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so I know the mystery behind the raptor, and it's fucking rad.
All right, bet. Very cool. Because I also like the fact that yeah, he's fighting a raptor and he hasn't beat him once,
Yeah,
like
he, like
decisively.
he like it was a he kind of won the first time, kind of lost the second time. He's got a bigger rivalry with this raptor than he did with Naruto.
He's soon going to have more fights with him than he's gonna have with Naruto. um, and aside from the obvious raptor jokes, I thought like the story development was pretty cool. I think it's cool that we're getting Sakura in this as well. Their relationship is one of those things that in base Naruto definitely needed
A little
a bit more,
attention.
yeah, a bit more cooking. Um, so it is good that she's here. Um, Sort of get an insight into what the fuck is actually going on with these two. Because I would actually argue that out of all of the couples and at the end of Naruto, these two are both the most predictable and also the most wild and bizarre. Because we leave them off with, "Oh Sakura, maybe I care about you after having after having tried to kill you like 7 different times." Time skip. Oh yeah, I've put a baby in her. It's like, what? This is that Kishimoto special.
The classic.
Yeah. I mean, okay, it's not quite as bizarre as Shoji and Karui. That one's just straight. He just did darts on that one.
Yeah, he needed to find some character, and he was like, ah, this one.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I'm glad that we're gonna get some Sakura shenanigans. I think the whole thing was like, oh, there's these special particles that can heal him. I thought, okay, all right. Like, what do they call them? The ultra particles as well.
Yeah. I think it is the Ultra Particles.
That's a fucking Pokemon name.
Yeah, it's a terrible name.
Yeah,
But
that's
you
like
know, whatever.
ultra particles have the power to heal this kind of. Yeah, whatever. Get back to the raptor.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
just
what.
get back on the Raptor, please.
Yeah, that's
You're
what we're
starting to
here
lose
for.
me now. Get back to the Raptor. I also really like the
Um,
Ninja Bird in his little outfit.
yes, ninja animals are
Yeah, he's
another
got
one of those cool
his
things.
little Konoha like uh tuning outfit on. I like
Hmm.
him.
Yeah, and I don't know. I just like the structure of the story so far. It's very much sort of Sasuke keeps putting himself into situations, and
Yeah,
none.
it's
Yeah, and none of
basically
them
all
are
of it.
like, super high stakes shit. It's just like, oh damn, my wife's here. Oh no. And oh damn, this guy is telling me my wife is hot. Oh no, what do I do? And now they have to like win a gamble to figure out where this heaven scroll is. Like, it's cool shit. Like, it feels appropriate for like the end, like almost like a way too long epilogue for a story that has kind of come and gone.
Yeah.
Which
Well, because
I think is cool.
you can't do like a sequel with Sasuke where they're like, uh-oh, this thing is even stronger than Kaguya, and he has to fight it alone. Because it's like, what's the fucking point of doing that?
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
you'd think you couldn't do that, but there's literally right next to it in the app is exactly that.
well, yeah, but that's like the quote unquote proper sequel. Like, you
Yeah,
can't have a spin-off where Sasuke is like, I'm doing bigger shit than Naruto by myself right now. Um, but
I
yeah, I
so
like
what
how
was
he's just like constantly getting into vaguely threatening shenanigans, and also there's a Velociraptor.
yeah. Like, it really is that he just keeps putting himself into situations.
Yeah, it's just the entire series is just him going, okay, I'm gonna go do this thing, and then half the time he gets attacked by a raptor, and half the time he doesn't.
Uh, yeah, I'm gonna be sad when the story like moves away from the raptor inevitably.
Oh, I have great news for you.
Yes, let's fucking go. Great day for raptor lovers.
Raptor Nation.
Rise up.
Oh my
The,
god.
the smaller insular community within Goblin Nation. Oh, also, very good raptor design. I think I've said that before, but very, very nice.
Yeah, I do
Any
like
art,
the Jurassic Park-esque raptor.
any artist who knows to put lips on his dinosaurs, certified good artist. Because yeah, this man just has some mean old smoochers on there.
I
Very
do like
good.
the art in this in general. Something about it lacks that weird. It's probably because Ikamoto's not doing it.
Yes.
That weird
Something.
fucking Boruto face. Like these characters look like people.
Yeah, it
Uh,
lacks the quality, that distinct Ikamoto quality of just being bad art. That's
I
almost too mean.
mean,
That's too mean, but I gotta say, what I've always felt about Ikemoto, and I feel like I've said that in one of our rants about Boruto before, is that it feels like he wants to be cartoony and photorealistic at the same time, and it just does not work. Whereas this is very clearly meant to be a homage to Kishimoto's like mid Shippuden art
yeah,
style, and it
this
just
feels a
works.
lot more like just lifting Kishimoto's art style, as
Yeah,
opposed to whatever the thing that Ikemoto's doing that is not working, and he's trying so hard
yeah,
to make it work.
yeah. It's like Ikemoto's art style to me has always felt like if you cut out like character bodies from Naruto and then pasted on like a photorealistic image of like, oh, here's what Naruto would look like in real life, and just stuck it onto their faces and then posed awkwardly. That's Ikemoto's art style.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, it really is, isn't it?
yeah. So no, I really prefer this over Boruto's look. And I mean, I prefer the next Naruto spin-off we'll talk about as well, in terms of art.
Hmm.
It really is just Boruto that got the short end of the stick and being stuck
Yeah,
with
somehow
the
got stuck with
one.
Ikemoto.
Well, yeah, just the one of Kishimoto's assistants that honestly should not have taken over a sequel or spin-off story, because I feel like every other one of his assistants who has come back to draw a manga has done a more convincing job.
Yes,
Um,
of,
yeah.
of mimicking that style better.
Yeah, and
Uh,
it's not like they have to mimic it, but Ikemoto clearly wants to, and he just doesn't know whether he wants to mimic it completely or whether he wants to draw photorealism.
well, I think that's the
Um,
problem, right? Is that like if
yeah,
he had maybe leaned into his own thing, it might not be quite so jarring. But like you were looking at characters who we're supposed to know, right? And they look
yeah,
nothing like what
yeah.
we're
I
supposed
remember
to know them like.
I remember when the very first like leaks came out of the very first Boruto chapter, I was in a oh god, I was like in a special class about like getting my English certificate to teach. And I remember like we had a little group of people who cared about Naruto. And one of the guys like pulled up the leaks and he like holds his head in his hands and he turns his phone to us and he goes, "That's just Severus Snape." And it's just that first image of
Of Sasuke.
Sasuke, yeah. He's like, this man just drew Snape. Yeah, that was my first exposure to Boruto, the manga at least. The anime obviously started quite a bit before, but man, I remember that. That will always stay with me. But yeah, the Sasuke story is pretty good. It's one of the best sort of Naruto continuations I've seen in years. More Raptor, please, out of 10. Even more Raptor, please.
We've already got the raptor in every chapter, but I still need to bump those numbers.
Yeah. I'm holding 7 plates of Raptors and I'm reaching for my 8th.
Thanksgiving dinner, but just
Yeah.
raptor content.
Topical Thanksgiving joke from someone who's never celebrated it. We do celebrate Black Friday though, for whatever reason.
Hey, why not? Get shit
Yeah,
for
cheap.
cheap money today.
Yeah, we got a we got a vacuum cleaner. That's
Oh,
how we know you're an
nice.
adult. Yeah.
Yeah, when you just get a fucking vacuum.
Yeah. Like
Uh,
I have friends who are like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna get like this gaming headset for Black Friday." I'm like, "Yeah, I got a really good Dyson, dude. It's fucking great."
I'm gonna vacuum the shit out of my floor. You
Oh,
have no
dude,
idea.
finally, these fucking hardwood floors are actually gonna be clean. God, fucking hate vacuuming with our old vacuum. I'm not gonna talk too loudly about it because it's my girlfriend's family's vacuum and it's kind of garbage. But oh well, that's something else.
Oh,
All
Jesus.
right, shall we move on?
Next up is the other Naruto spin-off.
The,
Uh,
the inferior
Konoha's
one.
story, because apparently Sasuke gets his name in the title and she does not.
Ah, well, uh, it's just okay.
It's all right.
It's alright.
This
Yeah.
was just there's a distinct lack of raptor in this one.
Yeah, and the thing that's sort of the central thing that is replacing the Raptor here is just Mirai. And I'm sorry, you can't compete with a
Can't compete
Raptor.
with the raptor. No, you really can't.
Yeah.
I mean,
How
I
many
don't
people?
dislike her. I think she's fine. But it just looks like we still feel like we're in this portion of the story where shit just doesn't. This is super goofy in
Hmm.
comparison to like the Sasuke stories. Like the shit that Sasuke shenanigans that he's getting into are kind of goofy in context.
Hmm.
This is just straight up goofy,
Hmm.
and I don't really like know this girl, so her playing the straight man to Kakashi and Guy just isn't quite hitting for me. But it's not bad.
Yeah, I mean Kakashi and Guy are top tier characters, so I
Hmm.
don't mind. Um, I do think her realization there at the end, where she's like, "What? Wait, there is no mission here. I just suck." I thought that was kind of cool, kind of something interesting. Um, Gotta respect the Naruto estate and Kishimoto's like guidance that 20 years later they're still using the fucking make out paradise joke, even though
Yep.
it has been funny like 0 times,
Yep.
which in turn makes it funny again.
This I thought it was funnier in this one than it's been in almost any other time they've used it
Yeah.
because he's just holding this tree and weeping.
Yeah. Well, you know. It's one of those legacy jokes. And I did think Mirai being like, "Oh, the guy who wrote that must be complete trash." I was like, "Hey, do not speak ill of the dead." Or I guess dead. If it weren't for fucking Boruto, he'd be completely dead. But
Oh yeah, isn't that guy's like a clone of him or something?
yeah, whatever. Right?
Yeah,
Like
okay.
just it's
Whatever, Boruto.
yeah, it's the check mark on a Jiraiya reference. Haha. Um,
We got it
also,
in, guys.
yeah, anyone who wants to get mad at us for spoiling Boruto, don't. It's not a series worth it. Worth getting mad over. It's not worth. It's
You're
not
right.
worth
You're
getting
right.
mad at spoiled. Yeah, like it's just not worth it. But no, this thing was fun. If at least a little kind of whatever. The
Yeah,
little
it wasn't
chase.
bad. It was just kind of nothing. It's kind of fluff.
Yeah. And do we honestly just want to move on? Because
Yeah.
I have nothing to say.
I have nothing to say
It's
about it
whatever.
other than it was right there.
It's better than Boruto. It's worse than the Sasuke story.
Yep.
Yeah.
All
All
right, so
right.
that gives us Ginka and Luna.
So I'm gonna run something by you,
Okay.
and you need to tell me if I'm being fair. This feels like uh an on paper simulation of what it's like to have ADHD.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Like it really feels like someone like the story is just incapable of focusing on any one thing for more than a page. It's just like, oh my god, here's the thing, and oh my god, here's the thing, and oh, did you see that? And oh my god, there. And it's like, hey, like I get it. I'm like that as a person, but this is a little it's getting a little out of hand, slowly but surely. Um,
Yeah, I don't know. I'm so checked out of this. Like
yeah,
they went
yeah,
to
like,
magic school and they're like, "Uh-oh, we can't use magic." Oh, but we can because we're so good at it. We can do it faster than anyone else.
mhm.
I do like that this guy's wand just looks like a gun. That's funny. As we've already said, guns make anything better.
Yes, that is
Um,
true.
but yeah, no, I don't know. And then there's like this little dude at the end who's like some kind of creepy monster. Even though we
Mhm.
just got to fucking school,
Yeah,
now we have a creepy monster we have to fight instead of just school.
yeah.
Um, well, I don't know. I don't know. I don't really care to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if do we want to give it until like chapter 15 and after that we just fucking cancel it on the show?
Live on the air, yeah, I'm down.
Yeah, because I mean with Elusive Samurai it only took like one chapter to like reignite our interest in it for a while.
That's true. It did that one little bit of time where he learned that technique and fought that dude
Yeah.
just changed
Um
everything, and now I can't look at it anymore.
God,
Um,
yeah, that's well, hey, it's one less series. You know, we get
true,
to skip one more and have
true.
more of a Sunday.
All right,
Um
so moving on.
yeah, moving on. Ginka and
We're
Luna
finally
is
getting into some
whatever.
good shit. Blue box.
Ah, this shit's so good by
It's so
comparison. Holy
good.
shit.
Oh my god, I know. Man, that
These
hurt me when Hina was like, I can't be in the same room as the two of them. I was like, oh god.
Yeah, I think what hurts about it is it feels so sincere because it doesn't feel like super dramatic. It's just like I want to get over it, but because the wounds are fresh and they are constant reminders of it, it feels overwhelming and like yeah, suffocating. It's such a good way to handle this without making it um without making it for the lack of a better word cringe, you know.
Right.
Um yeah. And also the previous chapter, the week that we missed, I thought was just so good in the way it got especially Taiki to like think about himself in a more productive way. And also the thing that the friend said to the team president that like, hey, some people are just happier as friends, and we cannot do much because we're just onlookers. I I just love about the series that it focuses on very emotional topics, but it treats them with respect rather than glorification. I guess that's the best way I can put it.
Yeah, it doesn't
Like,
quite flanderize the topic into like a silly game.
yeah, exactly. Like it's just people doing things at the end of the day, and it's not exaggerated in a way that is that deflates it. I guess is what I'm trying to say. Um, Also, dude, I felt so fucking triumphant when he finally asked her out, and she just goes, "Yeah, for sure."
Yeah.
Yes.
Damned. That's that
Yeah,
good
let's
shit. I
go.
also like how he said some dumb shit, and she was like, "Yeah, but can we also go to an actual date as well?"
Yeah, I mean that's the blueprint. That's how it has to be. You do some dumb shit, and then you go have some food, so you can talk about the dumb shit.
hmm
Always have food after the date. That's then you have natural conversation topics. One of those age-old dating tricks. I have no clue if that's actually worth anything. But then again, with dating advice, it's one of those things where,
It,
uh,
it it could work or not work entirely based on anything.
well, that and also most of the people who give you dating advice have a vested interest in you staying single. You
Oh,
know,
that's true.
like dating
Because then you won't need
magazines
the
and
advice anymore.
yeah, exactly. Same for people who try and tell you how to be successful at YouTube. By the way, exactly the same concept. So, do not, for the love of God, do not buy views, people. Because that's one of those things I see around every once in a while, where it's like, oh, you got to buy views in your first year, and that like is an investment. I'm like, no, the fuck it isn't.
Yeah,
Like,
what?
no, that
What
doesn't
does that
work.
even mean? Yeah, it doesn't help at all.
Well, the problem is that if you buy views, first of all, it oh God, am I gonna no whatever? No, it's bad. Don't do it. I'm not gonna go into the full rant. I don't. We already have enough to talk about. There we go. This is how I'm qualified to call Ginka and Luna an ADHD manga.
We got dangerously close to veering off in a blue box segment again.
Yeah, I know. Um, I'm so excited for this date, though.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it, and I like the little talk that he has with the manager girl, where he
Hmm.
kind of is just like, well, I can't make her feel better on her own terms, and that would be really douchey of me to try.
Yeah.
That was good. That was good stuff. I like all of it. I don't know. I even liked the little bit from. I mean, we kind of called it with Haru, but I even liked that little reveal as well. That was nice.
Hmm. Yeah. It's just a good manga.
It
I don't know
really
what to
is.
say. It's just really good at making you feel a whole bunch of things. Um, and I also do like that because you mentioned the scene with the other girl with the team manager. I do like that Taiki, despite often being a bit of a dunce, that he is actually a very mature kid when he wants to be.
hmm
Because yeah, the way he's handling the thing with Hina is that's a very mature reasoning that he is the reason she feels bad, and him just going over to her and trying to be friends with her is not gonna solve it. And it's also interesting that then the team manager kind of understands but doesn't really empathize with it because obviously for her, all of her breakups have been with people who had very little investment in a
Right.
way. And so she could just sort of be like, "Oh yeah, let's stay friends, haha." Um, and so it's interesting to see that sort of juxtaposed with Taiki, who really takes that responsibility to be like, "No, I can't just absolve myself and this entire situation by going over and starting a conversation because that would just kind of make it worse for her and wouldn't be helpful." Um, so yeah, big fan of what's going on. Need this date to absolutely go swimmingly with no hiccups whatsoever, which is a very tall order in this series.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be some shenanigans going down.
Hmm.
But hopefully they're not too sad.
Yeah, well, I hope if anything, the one thing that's giving me a little bit of anxiety is him going like, "Oh, I'm gonna confess my feelings to her." I'm like, "Ooh."
Yeah,
There's
red
like,
flag.
yeah, there's a million ways that can go wrong, especially doing that on like your first proper date.
I mean, do you count the aquarium?
That's true. I guess that is it's a second day. Still, I feel like saying even phrasing it like that, "Oh, I'm gonna confess to her," it kind of loads it with a lot of potential
Yeah, a lot of potential
misfortune.
oopsies.
Yeah. Yeah, like God, Taiki, just take her fishing.
Dating advice from Oceans.
Yeah, just take her fishing,
Just
dude.
take her
Like just
fishing. It'll
yeah,
be
just
great.
you wake her up at the 3 a.m. in the morning, force her to go to the lake, and just stare at the sea doing fucking nothing for 6 hours, and maybe catching the smallest fish you've ever seen. That's a date, all right.
Oh, Jesus.
Signed, a man who has fished twice in his life. Once when he
Fishing
was a child.
can be fun sometimes.
It can be fun if you live anywhere where it has like interesting water places. We're just one of the countries that has like the most rivers in the world, but most of those rivers are you're not allowed to fish in there, or you need
Oh,
like a
really?
special license. Yeah. You need a license to beg here in Switzerland. So that's the kind of country we are.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, you know all those memes about like, oh, the British they can't even use knives because they need a knife license.
Yeah.
That's Switzerland. There is a special form you can take and you can get and fill out if you want to wield a katana. You can get a katana license here.
Uh, but like, why though?
I have no clue, but you can.
What purpose
It,
is the katana license serving?
I have no clue, but it is one of the registered licenses you can get for accessories and additional tools and instruments.
Additional instruments.
Hey, I mean, I'm looking to get a reptile license, so
A reptile license. You need a
yes, you need.
license to get a lizard pet?
Well, if you want to get one that is like an actual sizable animal and not a gecko that's the size of your thumb.
What about like an
But
iguana? Do you need a
yeah, anything that can hurt a human being, you need a license for.
wild?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you don't need a license for dogs, and dogs can hurt you way
Well,
more
yeah,
than
dogs
fauna
will like
can.
fuck your shit up.
Yeah. Um. So yeah. Uh. Call me again in a couple of years. Maybe I'll have my crocodile license.
Oh damn.
Here we go. That was the mandated blue box tangent.
We've made it through.
Yeah, but we kept it to a minimum this time. The blue boxers will be happy.
I don't know why calling them that is so funny. The blue boxers.
All right, what's next?
Next up is going to be Akane Banashi.
Which is fucking great as usual.
Yeah, I really like this lady. I really like the backstory of like, oh, ladies can't do Rakugo. Um,
Mhm.
that was an interesting little. I mean, I don't know anything about Rakugo, so I don't know any of the past lore there.
Mhm.
Um, but I found a little tidbit interesting, especially like the bit about how she's so good that the one of the original people who was like, ew, women, ended up
Mhm.
sponsoring her. Like that's wild.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
it's just all good. It's all real good.
Yeah, and I don't know. Maybe that's just my liberal European left-wing ass speaking. Um but I do dig it a lot when a series has a topic surrounding like a certain ancient tradition or sports or whatever, and it actually acknowledges the fact that hey, actually, what were women doing during all of this? Where the
Hmm.
answer is most of the time being oppressed. Um,
Yeah, almost
yeah,
always it seems.
yeah, and I appreciate like dealing with that as a question because I think it better grounds the series in the real world. Not in like, oh, it's realistic because the women are being treated shittily, but it shows that the series actually has the balls to deal with that, to acknowledge that, hey, look, this art is not some magical, mystical thing. It actually has existed within the framework of a patriarchal society. Um, and especially for a country like Japan, I think that's even more valuable to have that discourse. And I mean, of course, I don't think this is going to be like gonna go super in depth or even be all that important in the long run. But it is cool to bring it up, especially considering that our protagonist is a girl, is a woman. I think having that element sort of tie in and have her first sort of out of dojo mentor be, a mold breaker, a lady that really sort of was a trailblazer for women's performances in Rakugo. I think that's just such a cool idea and gives it that little bit of extra spice, that real life political spice that I enjoy in manga.
Hmm.
Um, which, hey, I'll take it, especially in Shonen Jump.
Yeah, if anything, Shonen Jump, yeah. I also
Um,
like the fact that Akane kind of gives like because again, you can't really like tangibly see, oh, they shot a bigger fireball than me, so they must be stronger. Akane kind of
mhm,
gives you that one panel of a little bit of like, oh, she's doing the exact same thing that I did, but I had to give an entire performance to do it, and
mhm.
she just sat down. Like a nice, a little way to show that she has a long way to go.
Yeah. Like I really like how her like command over the audience is depicted. There's just like this heavy aura in the room. Super cool also on the art front.
Yes, I really love the creepy panel of her face on page 8.
Yeah, the fisheye lens.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, super cool. Um Also I like the story that she ends up choosing, a tale of the mind games between men and women because again, it sort of goes into that whole thing of can a woman even perform Rakugo if it's meant to be performed by men? And the answer is, of course, yes. And it's going to be interesting to see how that is visualized now through this story, which, you know, a story about a man going to a brothel. Usually you would think that that's somewhat of a masculinity tale, of a macho story. And it already doesn't seem to be like that. So, yeah, just digging a story dealing with the more nuanced topics of its world. Um, so yeah, very, very happy with these two
Yeah, and
chapters.
also the final spread, really good.
Yes, phenomenal. I guess what else can I give this chapter besides I love women out of 10?
All right. Can't argue with that one.
Yeah.
Next up is
Oof, I almost clicked on Witch Watch. Good
yeah, I
God.
know. I did that this morning. I was like, oh no!
Flash, flashbanged.
My entire body started shutting down. Next is Mashle.
Dude, it's got it back. The rawness.
Yes,
It
it's
figured it out
because
again.
Mashle's so close to getting up. It's all back. It's all back.
Yeah. It it relearned the recipe for rawness. Um
We lost the fucking the sauce for a little bit, but we're back.
yeah, yeah, second serving, baby.
Uh-huh.
Good God.
That
I
shit
mean,
was sick.
it really is just everyone versus one really strong dude while Goku is powering up in the pod.
Yeah,
Um
it's just Frieza on Namek.
yeah, but it's cool every time.
It is. It's fucking rad.
And I like that, as opposed to Frieza on Namek, here at least, you have all these combo attacks and people coming in last minute. Whereas I feel like in a lot of series, Dragon Ball included, it can sometimes feel like a conga line of people. It's like, oh,
Yeah, oh, it's this
Vegeta
guy's
gone.
turn. Now it's this guy's turn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas it really feels like, people are coming in from all the sides, trying their hardest. And at the end, you have the light guy using one of the coolest moves so far, Genesis Crisis. That's such a cool name. Um, and of course, Doom defeats them all, but is now at what is it, 70%, 80%?
80% now.
Yeah, yeah. So now of course we have the build up all done for Mash to come in and be like, "Hey,
And
where's my
save
cream
the
puff?"
day. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think the cool thing about this fight is that all of the characters are fighting as if Ryo is Goku, but he's not
yeah,
at all.
yeah.
So we're getting like the double end of the Dragon Ball Raw fight spectrum here.
Mm-hmm. Like he thinks he's hashtag him, but he isn't.
He in fact is not. This little doofy man on the floor is.
uh, I'm so glad that Mashle is back though. So glad we're done with the fucking key saga.
Yeah, I never want to see that fucking key again.
Yeah, yeah. Well, hey, we've survived it. We've made it. But yeah, aside from that, I have not much to say. It's just raw as
Raw,
fuck.
yeah, raw
Yeah,
swag, all that
very
stuff.
raw.
Yeah. Next up is Sakamoto.
I don't think you ever heard this word before out of my mouth, so brace yourself. Raw.
Yeah,
uh,
no, this shit was cool. Um,
Yeah, I like the old guy. I'm really interested to hear what actually happened between him and the association.
yeah, because like you lead off with the whole, oh, that didn't, it's not exactly what you think, and now
Hmm.
here he is fighting for his life. Also, God, the injury he takes in the last panel on page 19,
Hmm.
gross.
Very cool though.
Yes, but gross. I like the
Yeah, well,
whole the whole chapter. Really, like everything in it was cool. The old lady with the umbrella with that shoots spikes.
Hmm.
It's cool. Him decapitating two people with hammers and then telling them that they need to work on their neck strength was good.
Yeah. Just in general, I do like the whole setup for this chapter where it's just like, oh shit, the entire town is just assassins, and you just have to fight your way through like store clerks and restaurants. Such a fun idea too. Because I would have thought that this chapter would like start the fight against the old guy, but honestly, it's more about just fighting the town, and that's such
Hmm.
a cool idea. And then, as usual with Sakamoto's excellent fights. But also, as I said, just very intriguing to see what happened with him and his family because it's just so contradictory between what we have seen, what we've been told from his son and his grandfather. And it seems like they're taking this mystery fairly seriously, as in like the story is. So
Yeah,
I'm
they're not
wondering,
just kind of like dropping it real quick.
yeah. So I'm wondering like how it'll like feed into the main plot, if it will at all. Because this is kind of a detour, right? Because we're still
Yeah,
fighting for the archive at the school, or the database. That's what it's called. So it's interesting that the story is choosing to focus on this now. And one reason I can think of is that because the reveal of what happened with him between him and the association ties into Slur and like the database.
yeah, I would
Even though
imagine
the grandpa doesn't
it's
know.
gonna end up being information that we need. But I am
Mhm.
curious if he's gonna win here, because this is like him versus a character we've seen plenty of times. This is not just like a random red shirt for him to kill. So I don't know. This is gonna be interesting.
Yeah, it could be one of our first like big name deaths actually. I say big name, I don't remember his name, but I sure remember his
I
face.
remember he's relevant. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah,
That's all I need.
I don't know names. Am I Oceans? Am I Oceaniz? Who knows?
Oh
But yeah,
God.
very cool chapter out of 10.
Yeah, always good out of 10.
Hmm.
Okay, so now we're gonna take our detour so that you can wax poetic about the Cipher Academy.
All right, Cipher Academy sure is a manga written by Nisio Isin. Uh, it has his DNA all over it, and that is a good and a bad thing depending on what kind of person you are. This the first chapter already sort of felt like it, and this second chapter kind of confirms it. This is a story that's going to be very heavy on like word plays and word references, and is going to mostly tell its story through dialogue only, and through like very Death Note-y deductions, um, which can be cool. But I'm not enjoying it so far. I think it's an interesting premise, and it has that Isin charm to it. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just a fucking monkey brain. I I,
I
I just
mean, so am I, so
yeah, like if anything, I think what's interesting is seeing Isin in Jump again after Medaka Box and seeing the poor translator trying their hardest to make this dialogue work. Cuz yeah, it's just extremely wordy and very reliant on the phonetic logic of Japanese, so to speak. So like the main character gets a letter, gets a riddle, and it's like, oh, you need to first solve the riddle, and then the answer of the riddle you need to then translate into Japanese, but then pronounce it backwards to then figure out what this pronunciation would mean in a separate slang of Japanese. And it's like, hey, it's cool that you're explaining this to me. I do enjoy learning about this, but also, my God, it's not something I can just read quickly on the bathroom the way I read Jump.
yeah, can't just in
Yeah,
like
like
ingest it quickly.
yeah. I mean, I don't know if I'm gonna keep up with it. Uh, the art is really good. I really do like the art. It's very expressive. Um, it has that typical otherworldliness again, very very typical Nisio Isin. Um, but yeah, major props to oh god, the translator's name. Let me see if I can pronounce it correctly. Kumar Sivasubramanian. Absolutely do not envy this position as translator, and I think they're doing a very good job so far. But yeah, I don't know if this is for me. I didn't like or didn't enjoy the Monogatari series either. I've never checked out Medaka Box. So I think it really just depends. Do you like Nisio Isin as an author? And if yes, then you're probably gonna like this as well. So yeah, that's my wax poetic about it.
All right. Then next up we have the Ichinose family's deadly sins.
This shit has absolutely atrocious vibes in the
It
best way
does.
possible.
It has horrible energy at all
Yeah.
times.
Yeah, and I kind of love it. I kind of really like how just even when nothing bad is happening per se, it has this intense energy where like I feel like I could turn any page and the next page is like an incredibly detailed drawing of a human being dismembered.
Yep.
That's the energy it has. You're always one page turn away from absolute horror.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a mix between how cartoony the characters are, like drawn in certain terms of silhouette and line art, but how detailed the texture work is at times. Like if you look at the close up of him calling the guy a dickhead on page 15 and 14 double spread, it's a really cartoony drawing, but then you look at like the crosshatch textures all around him and he just looks wrong. Like I'm going to turn the page and it's him eating a man, you know?
Yeah. The whole fucking thing has just the worst energy. Like the panel where his like real self, I guess, wakes up a little bit is just
Mhm.
nasty. He's in that
Yeah.
gross room with the writing all over the walls. Bleh.
Yeah, yeah. And also when he speaks in the next page, you can see like half of his face is like shaded almost as if it's like rotting.
Yeah, and like he's
It
got
has
the
like
one drooped eye and the one fully open eye, and it's like fucking gross. It's
yeah.
gross.
Yeah, it's but I enjoy it. I think it's cool that it's keeping me on my toes.
Yeah, I
Just
have enjoyed it so far, but every time I read it, I'm like, ugh.
yeah,
Just
it
read
just
that.
has
Ugh.
icky vibes.
Yeah,
Also
but
very
like
cool
you
that they
said,
got
good
a
icky vibes.
yeah, like it is also cool that they get away with having a guy call someone else a dickhead in Shonen Jump.
Yeah, that was interesting. I thought for
Yeah,
sure
that's
that would get edited in some way, but I guess not.
yeah. But yeah, it's cool. We have 3 chapters so far, and all 3 of them have been like basically me being like, okay, I get where this is going, and then the final thing happens. I'm like, oh no,
Oh,
wait,
I have no idea where this was going.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole twist that his supposed friend was actually a massive bully. That wasn't like wholly unexpected, but it sure was more extreme than I thought it would be.
Yeah, they went from 0 to 100 real quick. That's sort of where it comes from.
Yeah. Also very cool. Like the detailed drawing of all the food he gets thrown at is pretty cool too. I think we said it in the first chapter's review as well that sometimes it really the art kind of devolves into Where's Waldo, but in a cool way
Uh-huh.
where it doesn't detract from it doesn't detract from the actual point of the image.
Yeah, it's almost like it does have those Where's Waldo qualities, but like in a semi-rewarding way where like you don't need to know any of that shit that's in there, but you can also look at that panel and be like, "Oh, look at that." Like,
Mhm.
you know,
Also,
it's neat.
I will say the panel because I thought, okay, this is just once I realized that oh, like the bully is just never gonna stop, and he's like, oh, you disgust me, you little weakling. I was like, okay, this is just gonna kind of be misery porn for a while, and then he turned a page and he's just like, you go get my book, you fucking dickhead. I'm like, oh shit, let's
Got him.
go. Yeah, I was already thinking like, oh no, another like meek protagonist is just gonna get bullied. Like, no, he just fucking bullies the guy back.
Yeah, now he's the bully.
Yeah, let's fucking go. Um,
Bully power scaling.
yes, need that. So yeah. Out of the new batch, I think this one's definitely my favorite.
All
Um,
right. The next up on the list we have My Hero Academia.
oh shit, yeah, it's not in the top 3 this time.
It is not.
Uh, I mean, this week's chapter was pretty cool, actually.
It
You
was
know,
all right.
just
I really
yeah.
like creepy, nasty, overcooked chicken Dobby.
I mean, he's just he improves the story anytime he shows up.
My man is charcoal, but somehow
Yeah,
he's still alive.
yeah. I do like it how the typical shonen trope where it's like, oh, our hero, he's gone through so much and he's still standing. How is that possible? And here's just like, oh my god, he's falling apart. He's a corpse. Why is he still alive?
Why is he still going?
Yeah. Also just phenomenal art. Like this chapter especially had some of Hori's best art pieces in ages, I think. Um Only 13-page chapter though. I hope the man's alright. Um
Is it on break next week?
yes it is.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
He needs that R&R time.
Yeah. I the panel of Dobby popping out of the portal being like, "Hey, ya, dad." Fucking
Unhinged
great.
ass skeleton man.
That is actually my MC. Fuck Deku. I need to see Toya win. Um and yeah, aside from that, it was very much sort of a get people to places chapter. I thought it was cool to see the news reporter who ad-libbed the fact that she doesn't like that the world is just kneeling to All for One. I thought that was
Hmm.
cool, sort of showing that the outside world isn't just
Well, I like how
nothing.
they flipped it because it almost it sounded like she was gonna be subtly like, "Hey, you should buy stocks at allforone.com for a little bit."
Mhm.
But no, she was actually anti that, which I liked.
Oh my god! I'm sorry. Quick derailment about the Cipher Academy manga. I completely forgot to tell you the funniest thing about it.
Okay.
So the goal of the protagonist duo and the goal of every character in it is to hijack the school because the school has a massive amount of cryptocurrency stored up, and they have to steal it before it tanks.
That's
I completely,
hilarious.
I completely forgot about it because I could just imagine like Eason learning about NFTs one week and be like, "Oh, this would be interesting."
I googled this for a minute. Let's put it in.
Yeah, it's so funny too. 'Cause it's like, oh yeah, there's 50 million morgue. It's like, oh my god, wait, how much is that in real money? And they're like, we don't know.
We have no
changes
idea.
changes every minute. But yeah, anyway, back to my hero. I just really needed to get that out once I remembered. Um, so we got Twice back,
Yeah,
through Toga.
Toga twice. I
Yeah.
think it would be really funny. They obviously won't do this, but I think it would be funny as shit if the two twices came to the portal and Hawks was like, kill them, and Endeavor just blasts like a shitload of fire through the portal and just does immediately, and we still don't get like twice back.
Yeah, but I am well, a couple of things. First of all, that one Twice is holding Tsuyu's goggles.
Yes. So
Uh,
Ochako and so you got off screen.
yeah. Let's see in what state they are, but seems like
They
it.
got low diffed off screen. Uh, Also, we're losing Eraserhead here, so Deku Shigaraki is about to be something else.
Hmm. That and good God, Twice is here. Shigaraki is here. Spinner is on his way. If he doesn't bring Shigaraki back now, I will have lost even more hope than I already have. Like, it's the perfect setup, right? It's like, oh, Spinner wants to bring Shigaraki back. He doesn't agree that All for One has taken over. Twice is back, the character that Shigaraki should have an opinion on and hasn't yet. Like if this was like 100 chapters ago or 50 chapters ago, I'd be so hopeful. I'd be so happy. But all I can say now is, good God, please just give me this before the shit show ends. Give me Shigaraki coming
I
back, even if it's just for 2 chapters.
I'm not enthusiastic, but it could happen.
Yeah.
I'm too afraid to get my hopes up because I feel like it's just gonna be like, oh, I have even more control now. Oh, also I like that All for One has just been standing there looking like Zeus this whole time,
Hmm. Yeah.
even though he's supposed to be on a timer. They've just been hanging out.
Yeah. It's just I don't know. It's a mess. Because also if Shigaraki were to come back, I don't know if I'd even be happy at this point. Because all we'd get is just like the second half of a final fight out of it. Um. Also, All for One having planted a micro device into the hands that would activate Kurogiri, and specifically that hand. Um. Come on. Come on. Did it need to be a micro device? Couldn't it just have been Kurogiri, like Shirakumo's instinct to protect, mixing with Kurogiri's programming to Shigaraki, and couldn't that just be enough? That like the hand activates him like that? Did it
Yeah,
really need to be a
well,
micro
this
device?
series has always had a problem with like, oh, All for One's always got the answer kind of thing. Like, even though I don't really think it makes him seem any smarter or anything.
If anything, it makes him just seem psychic. It's like, oh, how did you know it was exactly going to be that hand?
Yeah, that was the hand that was gonna make it.
Yeah.
Or like,
Uh,
I don't know. What if the hand got damaged in the battle?
yeah. What if anything?
What if
Um,
literally anything happened other than the thing that it did?
Yeah, and the only other thing we can really talk about is last week's conclusion to the riveting mutant storyline, which
Oh my god.
I don't know if you want to talk about that.
The number of people who have really been outing themselves as creepy weirdos over this kind of thing, just to try to defend this plot line, has been unfortunate. I'll say that.
Yeah. Um, yeah. It's not great.
It's not great. No, it's in fact quite very awful. All to do is be really, really nice, and then they'll feel bad that they were mean to us, and they'll stop.
Yeah. It's God, I don't even know really where to start or what to even say because it's sort of like this could have been a very cool way to integrate real life issues into your story. And he just found the one really shitty way of doing it without just being outright, dropping slurs and shit. Like
Yeah,
I don't I don't think Hori is a horrible racist for writing this, but he has coincidentally struck a lot of their talking points.
yeah. Well, okay, so there's a thing, and I don't know how it is in Europe, but in America, there's this thing where like racism is bad, obviously, and so you're automatically assumed to not be by like the white people who engage in daily life, right? Like
Hmm.
every single white person in America, there's this assumption that you are not racist unless you do something explicitly racist and then you are. But like that's not how it actually is. It's like
Hmm.
a long, deep societal thing. It's not just like you have a switch that flicks and you either are completely racist or not at all racist. Like that doesn't make any sense. But that
Hmm.
allows every single white person in the United States to completely disavow any part of it because if
Hmm.
they acknowledge that like every single human being in America is impacted by the weird societal race relations in America, even if like you aren't directly prejudiced in any capacity, you still
Hmm.
benefit from it. Like even if it's something as little as like when you get pulled over, you don't worry about it. Like that's just you're just fine. You don't have a
Hmm.
presumption that you could be in serious danger. Like that in and of itself is a benefit that you experience. And so getting to just say, "Oh, I am not, and therefore nothing that I do or contribute in can be interpreted that way," has become
Hmm.
like the way that white people handle the topic of racism. Because like it's come down to like unless he was literally dropping like heavy slurs in this, they would be like, "Oh no, this was not even a little bit." But
Yeah.
like that's not how it is in reality. The reality of it is that
Hmm.
like it's very much touching, kind of brushing tips, we'll say, with a lot of weird righty talking points about how like, oh, if if only the marginalized were nicer and
Yeah.
stayed wholly within the system, then maybe we would consider not being so mean to them, but they're not, so it's their fault really.
I'm not racist at all, but I just wish these foreigners spoke normally, and they didn't make such a fuss about everything. Like I just wish these like minorities would just be nicer about it. Yeah, like I'm not racist. No, clearly I'm not, but like I just wish they'd be a little less rowdy about, like police brutality and shit. Like so many people have outed themselves that they don't understand what the point of a protest is, what the point of pointing out racism even is with this chapter, and it's kind of wild. And the only way I've been coping with it is just telling myself these are all kids, because the
Yeah, they
idea
just
that
don't
so
know any
many
better. Yeah, because there's way too many people on like My Hero Twitter have been capping for weird right-wing viewpoints of like, oh, you must be pro-violent protest if you don't like these chapters. And I'm like, bro, you are really starting to get out of pocket. All for what?
yeah.
All for what? For
Yeah.
3 chapters of this shit? Like, you need to reel it in.
I think the funniest take I saw on this was it's unfair to burden my hero with this real life comparison, because in real life, protests are done by people who have a legitimate cause. Whereas in My Hero, all the protesters are depicted as evil or idiotic. And clearly that's meant to separate the two. And it's like, oh my god. Like, maybe that's the problem.
Yeah.
Like, maybe the fact
Yeah.
that he went out of his way to reference a real life protest and then make sure that the only protesters there were either too dumb to understand what they were doing or hopelessly violent, maybe that's the problem. Like they're so close to figuring it out. Oh my god, it's just I mean, it's the whole thing again also with like how protests are even conceptualized in a lot of mainstream political discourse, right? Where it's like, oh, they should just be quieter about it. It's like, do you know what the point of a protest is? Like, it's not to just politely ask for the oppressors to suddenly not be oppressors anymore. Like, it's just it rubs me very in the worst ways, because it's not just about manga anymore, right? It's literally just a bunch of people not knowing jack shit about the political system and its effects on marginalized communities. And chapters like these ultimately just embolden them. And it's just it's just so annoying. It's so annoying that my hero will forever be like weighed down by this now. But just this absolutely clumsy portrayal of a very sensitive issue. Um but hey, at least Shoji got to do something, I guess. That's cool. That's a W, isn't it, Zen?
Big W.
Yeah.
Horigochi.
Yeah, just let him cook. Just let him cook. Why do you find it weird that he had a whole speech about how minorities should be quiet and just wait for the bad people to realize they're bad? And why do you care that immediately after that speech we get a fucking shot of Rock Lock?
Using Rocklock feels intentional. Like, I don't know how else to say it. It
Yeah.
it feels intentional because they keep doing it.
Yeah.
Every time Shoji's like, "Oh, we have to be well-behaved young minorities and one day they'll feel bad," and then it cuts to Rocklock like, "Wow.
Like,
I
all
never
right.
thought of it that way." Also,
Yeah.
my favorite thing to point out is like, oh, you know how Shoji gives this whole speech about how like if we're really good and we present this light to the world, then they'll accept us. Except he literally did that when he saved a little girl's life and he got beaten almost to death for it.
I mean, I'll do you one better. The whole thing, the whole way he characterizes this protest as illegitimate is that they're gonna attack the hospital without evacuating the without evacuating the patients yet. But the heroes put a high security target of the villains into a hospital without evacuating it.
Yeah, they didn't evacuate it either. Yeah, man, fuck, this shit sucks.
Like a more competent writer would have taken that and been like, but look, they would have had the spider guy be like, okay, but the heroes are using these people as meat shields. There's the only reason they put Kurogiri there is because they know that if we attack them, we have to attack innocent civilians. Like that would have been a more interesting conflict, but instead we're left with this dishonest ass way of just bending the story into somehow being anti-protest. It's so
Yeah,
weird.
but
We didn't need
and
any of this.
I understand that the protest is being manipulated by All for One and all of that because that's a talking point you get too. It's like, oh well, you know, this protest isn't being done in good faith, and I'm like, well, while that is partially true, all of them are there because they actually believe in what's being said. Like,
That
you
that
know,
and also, yeah, you go, you go.
well, I mean, it's just like you can't argue that oh because All for One is involved at all, this is one of the bad ones when the cause and the people that believe in it are there regardless.
That and also All for One's involvement and like his manipulation of it is a marginal point compared to what is being discussed here, which is the people there, right?
Correct.
Like the way Shoji dispels this is not by disconnecting All for One from the Matrix. He talks them out of it by telling them they should just be nicer when they experience racism.
Which is
They should.
just God, I can't get over how bad that ending is.
It's rough, but it's okay. That was last week, new my hero. Dobby's a cooked chicken. Let's focus on that. Dobby is cool. I love Dobby. I
I
love
really do.
my.
Dobby's the only one who I like. I feel like still he's the only one untainted by all this bullshit.
He's just cooking himself.
He's
He's the one
just
who's
that's it.
cooking.
Yeah. He's it's just that all I want to do is grill meme, but with himself instead of
Politics, racism. I just want to grill for fuck's
I
sake.
just want to grill.
He has his hand on the grill instead of anything else.
Ugh.
Oh my god, someone has to draw that now.
Please.
I found our thumbnail for today. Um, but yeah, my hero was pretty okay this week,
It
but
wasn't
only
bad.
because we're off the heels of maybe the manga's absolute low point.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, moving on.
Next up is Ichigoki's Under Control.
I dropped this midway.
Really? I thought it was actually kind of
I don't know. I could not vibe with it.
it it has Shikamaru energy, Shugamaru, whatever it is.
Yeah, Shikamaru.
It has big Shugamaru energy, but some of the jokes are funny. Like how the woman, did you get to the point where the gorilla that killed him comes back?
Yes, I got right about to there.
That was funny. And then the he's chasing that woman who can't put the bushel of bananas down because they're keepsakes from her dead father. It's just bananas.
All right.
I found that funny. Um, I found that when he rocket punched the gorilla and he defeated it with his like mecha punch and it just lands back in the zoo and all it says on it is a big thing that says matter settled and then it moves on completely. I thought that was funny.
Okay, okay, yeah.
Some of it's dumb, like I don't like the butt cannon, like oh it's gonna get really old because they're definitely gonna do that a million times. Um,
Mhm.
I also like the ending when the teacher's like, all right, does anyone else want to introduce themselves? And he fucking smashes through half the wall and like flips off a bunch of tables and everything. And then he
Mhm.
just gets up and he's like, hey. The look on the teacher's face is like my kind of humor. That was good.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll give it more of a chance then because
Well,
yeah,
it's
I
37 pages and there's probably under 10 funny moments, but the 10 funny moments are funny. Like,
okay.
I honestly thought it was funny when he was like, fine, I'll take you to the zoo. And the very next page is him getting aura'd by a fucking gorilla and killed.
Yeah, that was actually pretty fun. I don't know, just the concept didn't really work for me. I was like, "Oh, okay, it's like a mecha. It's like a gag mecha series." Like, okay, I don't
Yeah,
really
that
get
I
it
don't
now.
really get. I do think it's a little funny when she's like, I have no idea what I'm actually doing in here, but that's gonna get old really fast. That's gonna be like Shikamaru hurts the girl accidentally. That's gonna be the same kind of gag. Is like they're
Mhm.
gonna do it every single time, and it's gonna not be funny anymore after like this time.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm gonna read it a little bit more, but it definitely needs to keep with the good comedy and lose the bad comedy.
Yeah, because that's the other thing. While I was reading it, and also even when it was announced, like with the color page and everything, I was like, "Oof, this has enormous canceled in 20 chapters energy."
Yes, but
Um,
it's a comedy series, so probably not.
that's also true. Comedy series have different standards, after all.
Hmm.
But all right. Does that mean we're ready for the top three?
We are ready for the top three, which I I'm not gonna even gonna try to fucking average this out because it's all in different order. Chainsaw Man is first.
Mm-hmm. Holy shit! There's a fake Chainsaw Man.
Yes, there's a fake Chainsaw Man. I've seen a lot of theories about what that might be, that it might literally be a devil born from people's feelings of Chainsaw Man.
Yeah,
Like
Chainsaw Man Devil.
Chainsaw Man Devil, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know, there's like a bunch of shit that it could be. It's all crazy. I also like the guy who do we think that that guy is the fake Chainsaw Man, or do we think that's a prop that he has on his chest?
I would have thought it's a prop.
That's what I thought too.
Honestly, you know what would be actually really funny is if he thought it was a prop, but just whenever he ends up like pulling it by accident, it actually turns him into fake Chainsaw Man,
Into
and he
the
just
fake
doesn't
Chainsaw, he
remember.
doesn't know.
Yeah, or I don't know, because he just doesn't. It doesn't feel right to just reveal it like that and just leave it at that. But yeah, also really cool that the girl that saved Yuko, that she's part of the Devil Hunter Club, and so they're basically saying that she's probably the Justice Devil herself. Is that what?
That's the vibe that I'm getting from
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah, which is interesting. Um, but I mean, honestly, all that doesn't matter in the context of what the newest chapter ends on, which is Denji's gonna go on a fucking date.
I also some of my favorite, maybe my favorite sequence in part two, is Denji picking up the cigarette butts, and she's like, "Ah, he's a good person, and here I am trying to kill someone." And then it's the next like 3 pages are just him ripping off a homeless guy.
If that isn't Denji in a nutshell.
It's so great.
I saw like I saw so many good memes on that as well. It's like Denji rolls worst blunt ever. Asked to leave Devil Hunter Club. um, but yeah, super cool. And I guess part two is keeping with the theme of Denji just having the absolute worst luck with women.
Hmm.
Just absolutely the worst. Um, it'd be kind of interesting as an idea, and I've seen that floating around a little. It'd be interesting if Asa is like totally not into it, and she's like, "Ugh, this fucking dweeb, I better kill him quickly." But then Yoru actually really starts liking him.
Starts. Oh
That
my
would be
God, that would be amazing.
that'd be a very interesting development, I think. Um, but then again, I feel like someone is going to like someone one way or another, and that's going to complicate things. Um, I also like how Yoru and Asa basically just accept that the guy who showed them his Chainsaw Man thing, that he's Chainsaw Man, that they don't
Yeah.
think really much about it.
There's. I mean, like, oh, okay.
Like, oh damn, yeah, we gotta kill him. Um, but yeah, it's such a funny like case of mistaken identity, because I usually hate these tropes where it's like, oh, I gotta deal with someone and it's a completely wrong person and the real person is right next to me. But here it just feels so funny, partially because of how dumb it is that Asa and Yoru just accepted, and partially also because I know that Denji is gonna make this really entertaining.
Yeah, I love the panel. Like, there's the 2 pages of him being that girl who hates Chainsaw Man. Get out of here! I've got shit going on. Don't talk to me.
Mhm.
And then she's like, "Hey, you want to go on a date?" And he's got that panel where he's like blue screening, and he's just frozen in place.
Yeah, and he just goes, yeah.
Yeah, and then immediately, despite like being immediate telling her to fuck off like 2 pages ago, he's like, "Yeah, yes."
Denji's the kind of himbo slut that we need more of. Um, but yeah, very interested to see where this goes. Knowing Fujimoto, him and Asa are gonna have a perfectly normal and happy relationship with no issues
No
whatsoever.
complications at all. Yep.
No weird shit either, I'm sure.
Of course not. No one's gonna
No, of course
vomit
not.
in anyone's face.
Oh god. Yeah, the anime got to that recently, didn't
Yeah, it
it?
did. Twitter
Ugh.
was all over it.
Ah. My favorite thing about the anime there is that have you seen the ending for it?
Yes. Where there's that long thing of just her vomiting rainbows into Tenji's mouth.
Yeah. Well, you know how she sings in the song is called Get On Chew. Um Chew is Japanese for kiss. And get on, when you pronounce it in Japanese, sounds like gero, which means vomit. So the
Ew.
song is actually just called Vomit Kiss.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Um and yeah, just super hyped for part 2 still. Um how many chapters are we into part 2? Like 11 or 12, right?
Into part two, we are. It started
It
at what,
started
96?
98. It was the first part 2 chapter. So we're at
98.
14.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's just keeping that momentum. It's super cool. Like just the vibe that Fujimoto manages to imbue into his stories is alive and well, and I really appreciate that. It makes it really fun to read.
Yeah, it feels like it hasn't
Um,
skipped a beat at all during that
yeah,
break between part one and two.
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, very very hyped out of 10.
All right, then next up we have got Undead Unluck.
Fu goat,
Yes,
Izukino.
yes, that was just fucking sick when she throws the clothes off and she starts fighting him. And
Dude, she's
oh,
so
our hair
buff now.
touched.
She's so buff now too. Holy shit.
Yeah, she's shredded now. She fights this dude. I love the whole point of her technique is like, up, we made contact. You're
Yeah,
fucked.
yeah. That and also just I don't know. I like the idea that she's so well prepared for everything. It really feels like, even though there wasn't really a time skip, I mean, there was, but also there wasn't, because the series is weird. Um, I think it's just so cool, the way the story has sort of powered her up in a very believable way. And I'm just so happy about how far she's come as a character. Just so unbelievably cool. Also like her like shonen progression where now she can imbue unlock into objects and use like the bullets for that. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
super fun. Big fan of that. And I don't know. Again, I'm just being a European libcuck, I think. But I just can't get over that one of the best main characters in Jump right now is a girl. It's so cool.
It is cool. It feels good because
Yeah,
you kind of get bogged down with like the same thing over and over again. So it feels nice to have it be a little bit different.
yeah. And I like that, she isn't just a girl who's written as a guy. She's still very much a woman. But she feels like not at all sidelined or cliche. She's just a cool person.
Yeah,
And
she's
that's just
not
something I
like
really appreciate.
they don't highlight the whole like, oh, she's a girl doing all this stuff. They're just like, oh, she's kicking ass right now.
Yeah. Dude, the page where she does the Zanko, that shit is so hype. Like the
Yes, it
double
is.
spread.
You
After
know, it's sick.
all of this time where we see like Andy do crazy shit and we got like Shen doing this move before, to finally get to see Fuko participate in the story in the one way she hasn't been able to, which is physical combat, is so gratifying. Just phenomenal. So happy that this is where we are now with the story and the series. Um, and I'm still really enjoying like the pace of this, I guess, final arc where they're just collecting allies and getting everything ready for the final fight.
I
Very
also really
very
like that
cool.
we get a demonstration of the differences in her power in this fight because like, she put a bunch of love and care into the bullet and it brought like this dude down. But
Hmm.
she doesn't like him all that much, so like all he got was a little explosion.
Hmm. Which still, that's not nothing.
Yeah, but you can see the difference between the crater and then the explosion that she got there. But you're right, it
Yeah.
also kind of gives Fuko that sense of like if she actually hated him, it wouldn't work at all, you know?
Hmm.
So she has that little bit of she's kind of the all-loving hero, but that also makes her better at hurting people, which I think is funny.
Yeah, she's the all-loving hero, and that love makes her even more dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
It feels it feels super cool. It kind of reminds me of I mean, I don't know how much it reminds me of it, but it kind of reminds me of Netero from Hunter x Hunter, where it's like, oh yeah, my fist is that of love, and he just blasts Miriam
Yeah.
across the wasteland. Um, so yeah, no, super happy with Undead Unluck. Actually, very excited for the anime. Um, so yeah, super cool. Out of 10.
All right. Well, then that puts our last one at Jujutsu Kaisen.
Which is as usual peak fictionium. Just
From start to finish, really. It's just peak
yeah,
fiction. Jesus Christ. This shit goes so hard.
Yuki's curse technique is so. I've seen a lot of people be like confused about it, but it's actually one of the simplest ones we've had. She just makes her effective mass stronger, and that's kind of it, right?
Yeah, I mean, just adds more to her, but like it doesn't hurt. Like I'm trying to think of a way to explain it because it's not that complicated, but putting it into words is weird. Like
Yeah, which is Gege's
she,
specialty.
yeah, it really is, isn't it?
Yeah,
Um, she increases her own mass, but it doesn't actually affect her. It just affects the way that she interacts with other things.
yeah, exactly.
Like that's it.
Yeah, like it's a change in her physics in the laws of physics that only targets everything else and not
Right,
her. Yeah.
right. So,
Um.
and I also like that we keep getting, we've had Gojo for a long time and his ability affects space, and now we've got someone that's affecting mass.
Mhm.
Uh, and then we're saying that Kenjaku affects gravity in general, which is also cool.
Mhm.
We've got
Yeah.
all of our special grades just like fucking with the planet.
Yeah, I will say the page where she's figuring out that he uses gravity, that's very wordy. That's a little too much there, I think. Just white text, white
Yeah, the
background with
Hunter x
black
Hunter
text.
style.
Yeah, I was about to say, uh have you ever seen the meme of that page where it's like he's trying to figure out if he should have Cocoa Puffs for breakfast?
It's pretty good.
He's like calculating the nutritional value. Yeah. Um But aside from that, I actually thought this chapter was fantastic. Just the way they both of them are sort of trying to figure out what to do before they even really act much.
Hmm.
Um, because obviously with special grades, every move you make can be the end. Um, I also like how Kenjaku is like, oh, this is like my super powerful special grade spirit, and Yuki just fucking tosses a ball at it like
Yeah,
fucking
just
football
kicks a
season.
ball at it and it's gone.
Hmm.
Also, she punches him so hard that she punches his arm off.
That and she breaks him through like the barrier of the
Uh-huh.
star corridor. Um, but no way we're gonna actually see his domain now. I'm
No,
calling it.
whatever Tengen's doing is gonna stop it, I think.
Yeah, we're
Um,
gonna get blue balled again.
yeah.
Um, but it is interesting the way they explain his abilities. So he has curse manipulation, he has body hopping, and then he has also gravity. And those are like or like something similar like a gravity technique. And in addition, he has all the techniques he has extracted with Uzumaki, but only once.
Hmm.
Is that am I understanding that correctly?
Correct. Once
Okay.
he pulls a technique out with Uzumaki, he can only use it one time.
Mm. Yeah, makes sense. I mean, that kind of makes sense, and I thought we already knew that because he did only use idle transfiguration that one time.
Well, it's weird because I'm pretty doesn't uh fucking Tengen talk about him still having it when they have like their meeting. That's what I think has people confused.
Oh, well, I guess Tengen just doesn't know. I guess he's just a dumb old thumb guy.
The thumb idiot.
Yeah.
Um, Either that or Yuki's wrong. I mean, that's also
Mhm.
possible.
Yeah, but I would have thought that it makes sense that he can only use it once because I mean, yeah, he extracts it and then he uses it up. If he
Yeah,
doesn't have the spirit anymore, then he doesn't have the spirit's technique anymore. I would have thought.
yeah, and I mean, I also like the whole explanation of like he literally can't, like because the only reason Yuta can do that is he has Rika to do all that management for him.
Hmm.
Otherwise, it would like be too much for his body to physically handle.
Hmm.
But I don't know. Technically, we don't know yet, so we'll have to
Yeah.
see.
Also, I like the little thing where they're both like, "Ugh, what a pain," and it's just like their face
Yeah.
split.
They're both like making an annoyed face.
It's
It's
like,
great.
ugh, so much work. And yeah, no, super cool. Very happy that we now know about all of the special grade sorcerers.
Yeah, Yugi's
Uh,
been the question mark for a long time.
yeah, and I think she really lives up to it. Again, kind of like that, the woman is the one that has the big punchy power in a way.
Yeah, the hit you really hard power.
Yeah, very much like that. Um, so yeah, very excited to see what happens next. Presumably not the domain expansion, but I'm sure it's something else that's cool.
Yeah, I doubt we're gonna get the details on the domain expansion, even though that thing looks disgusting.
It looks awful, but
It's
also
so
really cool.
terrible. But I don't know, I'm
I
looking
mean,
forward to it. I want to see what Tengen's about to do. Some
it's
kind of
called
fucking
fucking
shenanigans.
womb profusion.
What a horrible name. Yeah, I hate that.
Yeah, fucking awful. Um, but yeah, very excited for next week. Out of 10, I guess.
Yeah. Excited for the payoff of this fight out of 10.
hmm
All right. Well, then I think that is another episode in the bag. That was a beefy boy today.
Well, that's what happens when life hits you down.
Yeah,
You
yep.
just gotta talk about more manga
Gotta
somehow.
talk about manga even more.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Well, then we will see you in the next one.
Yeah, take care, everybody, and we'll see you when we see you. Bye.